The Elantra is impressive. It not only accommodates a wide variety of needs, it has a personality, and it also teaches a post-grad course on budget management. While it'll probably be bumped up here soon, this starts out at 22 grand, or roughly the cost of one semester at a prestigious university. I really wish I was joking about the school part, but that kind of price does undercut many of its competition these days, and you get quite the car for the money.
While the Limited does get LEDs, every other trim will just get your basic halogen projector headlamps.
Alloy wheels is standard too, though they are just 15 inches on the SE, and the same design. I would consider it original and distinct, though some may find it as overbearing. Step up to the SEL and you'll have proximity unlock and lock with a smart trunk feature. So if you walk up to the rear and just stand there, the trunk will actually pop itself open after 3 seconds. Though the car does begin to sound distressed whenever you get past the rear door. Hiding beneath the dangerously sharp trunk lid is a secondary release. Now, if you don't want to be rolling on 15s, Hyundai offers 17s. You'll get 19-inch wheels with the hopped up N version, which I'm going to largely leave out of this review, as it's really an Elantra with a double shot of adrenaline and a bunch of track-focused upgrades. If you don't have the guts or the money to go with the N, you can split the difference with the N line, which I'll talk about more later. Initially, I was astonished that this costed under $30,000. It has an original design. It has upscale materials like this kind of denim stuff that lines the door cards, the metal speaker grills, other metal looking buttons down here, the big dual display dashboard, and I think the silver trim up top looks great. The shifter looks and feels nice, and there's a click to the dials, but the budget did run out at a certain point. Look a little bit lower and everything is going to be hard touch plastic, including some glossy stuff, even in some high traffic areas, so expect it to garner some scratches and smudges. And while I like that the driver has plenty of knee room, there's no soft padding down low, and the build quality, fit and finish just feels more like a $25,000 to $30,000 car the closer you look.
There's also a sly fancy circle that does absolutely nothing. It's like the Hyundai designers got bored and started doodling on the dash.
Still, this cabin feels more upscale than a lot of the competition. I find myself very comfortable in the Elantra. I'm a slender 6'3", and the steering wheel can actually come out far enough for me. The seat bottoms are long and provide great support. If you go with the N-Line or Limited, you'll have lumbar adjustment, making these really well suited for long trips. And there's enough bolstering that if you drive your Hyundai like other people drive Hyundais, you'll be held in nicely. The tech is also similar to a big Wildcat. It looks really cool from a distance, but the moment you touch it, things start to go downhill. So the screen has an adequate resolution. It has deep blacks, and I think it's fairly well integrated into the dash. It doesn't look as stuck on as some of its competition, but everything takes kind of a hard push to use. The response time is middling at best. Plus the interface and the icon size just isn't user-friendly. Now this system comes on everything except for the base SE, which I would actually prefer because that has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, something that's only wired here with the 10.3-inch screen. Though I do kind of appreciate the available full digital gauge cluster. It doesn't display a whole lot of information, but it is visually pleasing and I like the animations.
I really hope Hyundai addresses the infotainment for the upcoming 2024 refresh.
As far as features go, the Hyundai has most of the ones you'll care about, like available single or dual zone automatic climate control, heated front seats. You can actually get ventilated ones if you go with the Hybrid Limited, and an 8-speaker Bose audio system that sounds all right at high volumes. I think it's more crisp under stress than my own Corolla's JBL setup, though I don't like that the bass loses tweeters. Something that I wasn't expecting from Hyundai was thoughtful practicality. So you do have a wireless charger here that doesn't work all that well if you have an iPhone 14 Pro or just something with a big camera bump, but there is decent storage there and the door cards. Plus you have really cool cup holders, so you can actually change the depth on the fly to take care of a 40-ounce hydro flask or a sleep-deprived special shaken, not stirred. This also continues to be practical as you hop into the back with a comfortable yet not excessive driving position. I can sit behind myself and I have just enough legroom and just enough headroom. This isn't going to be class leading, but for most people with kids and giant car seats, I think it'll be good. And the door actually opens up fairly wide, though again, Hyundai saved a little bit of their money back here. You have plastic seat backs, less stitching, and there's no rear console vents or USB ports. The armrest is optional. The trunk of the Elantra also does not feel sturdy enough to accommodate a 200-pound car reviewer, but it does have a good amount of height, rear seat releases so long as you don't get the end, which actually can't fold the second row, and it's nice and wide. Again, not segment leading, though I don't see this hindering most small sedan lifestyles. On the road, this doesn't quite shed all EconoBox shortcomings, but it easily punches above its price point. The aspect that will twist the undies of dude bros like myself is going to be the powertrain, and that's for a somewhat bittersweet reason. So underneath the hood, you're not going to find a turbocharger, and you're not even going to find direct injection, which are both things that may require you to put more maintenance in down the road, making this relatively simple, though it makes 147 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers do sound embarrassing, though the car itself actually doesn't feel as pokey as they would suggest. Subtly tries to mimic gear changes, feels reasonably good. When put under duress, this thing can get to 60 in just under 9 seconds. But I've found passing power to honestly be more than okay. The standard intelligent continuously variable transmission does do a good job of kicking down. The engine just isn't lively, but that's not the point of this kind of car. At low speeds, there's just a notable lack of thrust, maybe a slight delay. That's really the only part of how this accelerates that I have qualms with. But all is forgiven from me when we consider how efficient this thing is. It seems like the EPA rates this very conservatively, as on the highway I was managing 49 miles per gallon. Around town it's very easy to keep it above 30 as well. Now thankfully, if you want more pep, again, you don't need to step all the way up to the harder to find Elantra N. You can just get the N line, which uses a 1.6 liter direct injected inline 4, producing 201 ponies, 195 pound-feet of torque, and that's going to come exclusively mated to a 7-speed dual clutch. The only way to get an Elantra with the manual transmission now is with the full-blown N. That also promises to handle in a more aggressive manner, and seeing how much I like this, I think it would be a good option for someone who wished that an automatic Civic Si existed.
Hyundai also offers a torquey hybrid variant that combines a naturally aspirated direct injected 1.6 liter engine with a drive motor through a 6-speed dual clutch.
And once you do get this thing up to speed, 65 miles per hour or so, it's pretty quiet. I mean, there's some wind noise here, but road noise is kept down nicely. I've taken this on a 100-mile journey or so, and have found it to be just as quiet as the best in the class. Now on a dismal road, it's pretty smooth and forgiving over the medium stuff, though the worst parts do begin to punch their way into the cabin.
When pushed to the max, it can get a touch jittery. The hybrid models and the N-Line come with an independent rear suspension, which may refine things further, but I still enjoy how this rides without it.
And I also think that there's a little bit more creaks and rattles from the interior, especially over a road like this, than I would prefer. If you're looking for the most comfortable car in the class, like the Subaru or maybe the Corolla are going to be more forgiving over the worst stuff. To continue my applause for the Hyundai design team, I think that the steering finds a very nice middle ground between being easy to maneuver around town and reassuring on a back road. It also has just a little bit of feedback in it. I also find it to be precise, though not overly reactive. Throwing the Hyundai around some broken corners, it's pretty planted. Overall, I would label it as natural. Seeing out of the Elantra is easy. You have a large windshield that's fairly close to you, a reasonable belt line, though if I have to nitpick, the rear glass is kind of high up, and while you do get autonomous braking and lane departure prevention on the base, lane centering and adaptive cruise come with the SEL convenience. And it works well enough, though on a crowded highway, the system is constantly alerting you even when you have full control. Now, something that I can't call a Hyundai strong suit yet is reliability. reliability. The Elantra used to suffer a lot of oil consumption problems. The previous Theta 2 engine was also known for failures due to metallic shavings in the engine, and then there was big problems with the 7-speed dual clutch transmission. But for now, it seems like those problems have dropped off.
After the redesign, it seems like there are miscellaneous issues pertaining to the electronics, some autonomous braking, adaptive cruise bugs, and there was a sizable recall on the seatbelts. Consumer Reports shows some suspension and climate qualms and mild issues with the powertrain. It's too early on to come to any solid conclusions since this was redesigned for 2021, but if you hold reliability as a high priority, I can't recommend this until it proves itself further. At least this comes with a relatively simple powertrain.
The Hyundai Elantra seems a little superficial. It puts on a bit of a show to make it feel more premium than it really is, as it does cut some corners when it comes to the powertrain or the tech, or even in materials in the areas that don't matter as much, where people will actually be interacting with this thing or focusing on. This crushes it. And for the price they're asking and the practicality it packs,
it should really keep the competition on their toes. In fact, if you're willing to trust Hyundai's excellent warranties and can accept potentially subpar resale value, the Hyundai Elantra is a segment frontrunner. It may not topple the well-rounded Civic, and it won't match the Mazda 3 in power or luxury, but it seems like the brand has been listening to the needs of their audience, and they've delivered in most ways. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like to help me break through the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more fun, detailed car content without fluff, and check out my Patreon for an additional podcast. I'll catch you in the next one.